Welcome to the Crystal Self-Healer Podcast. I'm Carissa Weaver. On this podcast, we blend the magic of crystals with the science of psychology to help you break free from chaos, ditch the overwhelm, and master your emotions so you can have more energy, get more done, and feel better every day. Get ready to unlock your intuition and restore your true power as we cover how you can transform your life using crystals and self-awareness. Are you ready to get started? All right, let's go. Crystal healing deals with a lot of emotional and energy healing, and neither of those things are linear. It's like going to school and every day reminding yourself that every assignment, every course, every quiz, every class, all of it is one piece of the entire puzzle. And while we may not see the bigger picture every single day, the path is unfolding before us, and as long as we trust in the process, we will get to the end result. Like the school example, you would get your diploma. In energy healing and emotional mastery, your outcome will be something quite different, but trusting the process, much like the school example, is included as well as needing to manage your vibe. You see, the triggers and patterns of behavior we're experiencing now didn't start overnight. They are usually a result of our experiences from growing up and how we have come to see ourselves interacting and being in the world. They also might have morphed and shifted how they play out or how they get triggered over time. Often when we set out on our journey of crystal healing, energy healing, or emotional mastery, we can be expecting an outcome that is a significant difference from how we operate habitually. I don't know about you, but when deciding to make a significant change in who you are or how you respond to situations, it doesn't often or easily happen overnight either. According to a study in the European Journal of Social Psychology, it can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days to create a new habit. And when we're working with long established ways of being or seeing things, it's not unreasonable for us to take all of that time to make those changes in how we respond or engage with our world. When we are uncertain about our desired end result, not in what we want, but what it's going to take to get there, our brains will search for something definitive, often posing as asking, "How do I?" Unfortunately, or fortunately, the how won't always be evident until we look back, which brings us to one of the struggles I want to talk about today that I see happening with my empath and HSP clients, and that is not seeing the bigger picture. And it's totally normal, right? So many things are at play in everything that we do, and much like with the school example before, if we lose sight of our bigger goal, the diploma, and all the things that go into creating that desired end result, all the different courses you need to take, some prescribed and some elective, we can easily go off course, which then brings us to the next struggle, not seeing the desired results. And that brings us to the next swirl of thought that happens, and it becomes, it's not working, right? We take a class, we don't enjoy it, we don't apply ourselves, we don't get the grades we want. And so then we're like, none of it's working. We throw up our hands, we end up abandoning the course. And when this happens, it's easy to find ourselves in a space where our negative thoughts and emotions start to rule, and we end up spinning in disappointment or even confusion. Our negative thoughts and emotions become blocks and resistance to our desired end result, especially when we begin to experience the next struggle, which is expecting immediate results. Healing often happens in stages, just like learning, where it's available to us at that point in time when we are ready for it, right? We can't learn applied calculus without going through basic math first. So it is possible in moments when we're faced with something catastrophic, like a life-threatening diagnosis, or a catastrophic change happens in our life, like the loss of a loved one, where we might be able to see and experience an immediate change or a desired result come in. But that's not always the space we enter from when we start out with our journey of crystal healing and our practice. So, how do we work with these struggles so that we can overcome them and experience the end results that we desire? I want to walk through an example, and in this example, the desired end result is having a more loving and supportive relationship. So in this moment, when we set our goal, we still have unattended needs. Maybe it's feeling unheard or feeling overlooked, or we have also unresolved triggers, like how engaged we see our partner being in creating the desired end result that we want, right? And all of these things, the triggers and the needs that have been unattended, all of these things leave you feeling disconnected and unloved, and causes you to respond in your habitual way of pointing out the deficits you see in the relationship, or pointing out the mistakes you observe, or commenting on what you'd like to see your partner doing that's different. All of these things get interpreted by your partner as nitpicking, nagging, leading to an argument and hostility, and a relationship that continues to feel unloving and unsupportive. Tell me if you can relate to that. Now let's assume you decide to work with aquamarine because you love the color and it just happens to have properties of calming, cooling, and the aiding of releasing emotional baggage. And you also decide that you're going to keep the crystal with you daily by sticking it in your pocket during the day and leaving it on your nightstand at night. And your intent is to think of the crystal or pull it out of your pocket and hold it as triggers come up during the day, and remind yourself of the desire for a more loving and supportive relationship. As the days go by and you go about your daily life, you may ask yourself about the state of your relationship and whether you have created this loving and supportive relationship. And when you take a look at it on any given day and measure against that end result, you may feel like you haven't made any progress, right? And that's because relationships are bigger than just one person. And newsflash, we can't control what other people do. I know, it's crazy that we so often focus on how do I get the other person to just, and just fill in the blank there. But maybe you've not been arguing as frequently as you had before, because that aquamarine that you've been popping in your pocket has reminded you that you desire to stay calm and cool when a trigger arises. And what we need to recognize is that's progress toward your desired end result. And that's worth celebrating. It also exhibits that if you trust the process, you can make great strides in the direction you want to go. So, what is it about this example that resolves the struggles we covered before? By choosing a way to incorporate the crystal healing practice into daily life and routines makes the entire process more tangible, more doable, providing less resistance to the entire process. And let's circle back to that study mentioned earlier. They suggest that repetition and consistency are what will increase automatic response or create a new habit. Interesting. Then also having a process to reflect on the changes that have occurred allows us to recognize the smaller steps that are leading you towards your bigger desired end result. So just like recognizing you're no longer arguing as frequently, that's the little thing that you recognize through processes like journaling about your experiences, keeping track of your thoughts and the emotions. These things help you track your progress and adjust your practice as needed. And finally, when we celebrate each milestone, no matter how small, this gives us the encouragement to keep going, the motivation to keep striving towards our bigger goal, as well as reinforces the triumph and the championing of the small steps. We need to remember that it's the journey, not just the destination, that holds the magic. And when we find reasons to enjoy the journey, we end up having more patience as well. There's an excerpt from Abraham Hicks that I like to remind myself of. Nothing more important than that I feel good. I want to find a reason to feel good. Now I invite you to ponder, what is that thing or that reason you feel good? Inside Crystal Self Healer, you have access to practices and rituals that you can explore and experiment with, as well as exercises and worksheets that you can use to identify and work through all the places that you're experiencing struggles as you progress towards your end desired result, and also the things that are preventing you from feeling good. Now, if you're unsure what crystal you might want to work with and what one would be like a jumping off point, take my What Crystal is Best for You quiz. You'll find the link in the show notes. And I'd like for you to remember that the transformative power of crystals unfolds gradually, and by trusting the journey or trusting the process is an integral part of the practice. When we embrace our unique path, we practice patience, and we establish consistency in our crystal healing practice, that's when the magic happens. And the magic is already within you, and your work lies in finding and dismantling all the ways that you are creating blocks and resistance to it. Today's episode has been brought to you by Aquamarine and Abraham Hicks. May you master your vibe so you can embody and attract your desired end result. Blessed be, my friends. All right, my friends, that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you for joining me here today on the Crystal Self Healer podcast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review, and take the What Crystal is Best for You quiz linked in the show notes. Join me again next week as we continue to demystify crystals, how your brain works, and how you can use them so you can have more energy, get more done, and feel better every day.